Hello, everyone, and welcome to the August 2025 Sykora Financial Update. Thank you for tuning in and listening to our update. I'm Greg Sykora, and joined with me today is Mark Zavitz. We are going to give you a quick update on performance. Then we're going to talk about what's going on in the economy and finally give you an update on housing and housing prices. Let's get started. So I don't have any performance up on the screen, but just to let you know, our models are performing quite well. Our very conservative model is up around 6%. The conservative model is up around 7%. Moderate model is up around 8%. And the growth model is up around 9% year to date after all fees. Everybody's portfolio has rebounded nicely since the April lows, and performance is quite strong. Given our year to date performance is greater than the long-term expected return of portfolios. And with what's going on in the economy, I don't think it's unreasonable to expect some sort of volatility in the coming months. The main reason why, well, looking into my crystal ball, which is admittedly not very accurate, we still haven't seen the inflationary effects of tariffs. We haven't seen them work their way through the economy. And a lot of experts, if you listen to the economists out there, a lot of experts are torn on how this is going to unfold. So far, global companies throughout the supply chains, they've absorbed a portion of the cost of these tariffs. For example, if Trump's put on a 15% tariff on a country with no trade deal, and let's say there are 3 to 4 companies within a respective supply chain. Each of those companies so far has been absorbing, a portion of those costs, 3, 4%, and not really passing it down to the consumer. And it makes sense, if you think about it, given how unpredictable Trump is. We called him Taco Trump 2 videos ago. He always chickens out. Nobody knows how long he plans to keep these tariffs on. So if you're running a company, what do you do? Do you want to just raise prices right off the bat? Well, the longer they stay on, the more likely that they are going to get passed down to the consumer or fully added to the consumer's final bill. So if they start really affecting earnings, either by the fact that, consumers are pulling back in the short term, or there's a big price inflation uptick, that will most definitely cause a correction in stocks and the market. And what else? Well, here on the screen, we have our orange turd, aka Trump, and next to him, the head of the US Central Bank, Jerome Powell. And of course, for those of you not in the know, Trump has been attacking Powell for the past few months. He's been putting pressure on him to lower interest rates. Why? Because he knows that lower interest rates stimulate the economy, at least in the short term. The problem with this is Jerome and other central bankers are meant to be independent, have really not have any political affiliations. Their primary goal is to keep inflation tame through monetary policy, with a secondary goal of keeping employment or unemployment in check. Never has a US president fired or really attacked a central banker in the way Trump has. That's not to say that this hasn't happened throughout history. It has happened in third world countries or dictatorships, or you could call them banana republics, a country ruled by a corrupt small group of elites or the military. It's having a crazy effect on bond markets. Short-term rates have started to come down, but long-term rates, betting that Trump's move may create inflation or worse, credit issues, start to go up. So, Mark, what's your take in what's really going on here as Trump attacks almost like the credibility of central bankers?
Well, it's Greg, as you said, it breaks confidence in the financial markets. I mean, you know, everybody, the U.S. dollar is the reserve currency for the world, has been for decades. And with some of the policies that Trump is enacting and some of the changes he's making, he's breaking down confidence. People, he fired the head of the statistical
Yeah, I've got
board.
that. I got that on my next slide. Yeah.
All right, and now he's trying. Now he's firing some people on the Federal Reserve that are not voting the way he wants them to vote. So he's just going to replace them and get enough people on the Federal Reserve so that, like you said, he can manipulate the Federal Reserve. And these are some of the smartest people in the world. They're theoretically completely independent, and they're only trying to do what's absolutely best at all times for the financial markets, for the United States and for the world. And and Trump is breaking it down. And so you're gonna, who can trust the U.S. policy when it's just all being manipulated by Trump? Who can trust the numbers coming out of the states when they're being manipulated by Trump? It's
what's that? The Orwellian. There's a book 1984 that I'm sure a lot of people have read, where one of the lines near the end of the book is the final command was to not trust what your eyes were seeing and what your ears were hearing. It's basically like to pull the wool over everybody's eyes, and if you just feed them with nonsense, because you can manipulate institutions or central banks or whatever. Hopefully that's enough, even though people are feeling differently because what they're seeing is the opposite. But if you just tell them, oh no, things are great and the data's good and blah 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 blah, blah, like, for some reason that seems to work.
Yeah, Greg, but 2-3 weeks ago when they came out with the jobs number, and it was horrible. And they also backed out about 150 jobs that they had counted the previous month, which was horrible as well, and really an indication of just how soft the U.S. economy is. Trump, he was horrified. He called them liars. And
well, exactly. That's exactly. I mean, you could say, in my opinion, he's trying to manipulate the data, right? And it's only to serve him in the short term. And this is what I quote this from the BBC and Bloomberg. So this is part of what was under this caption and this picture here in the actual article that I've taken a snippet from. So on social media, Trump claims that Erica McIntyre, commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, had rigged jobs figures to make Republicans and me look bad. The unprecedented move by the White House sparked accusations that Trump was politicizing economic data. I mean, is this Mark? Is this the work of like an authoritarian regime? Like,
absolutely.
This isn't a democratic. They're falling into authoritarianism. It's anyway. It is disturbing. But at the same time, I think it has a lifespan, which is positive, right? I think it hopefully only lasts Trump's tenure, which who knows? He's starting to show signs of some sort of like illness. He's got bruises on his hands, discoloration on parts of his bodies, which could be some sort of like skin disease, or even, people weigh in who don't really know, but they speculate it could be like cancer or something. And he replaced one of the White House doctors with someone who had been fired for malpractice. I think it was with Obama or something, like basically someone who lies. So he brought on the chief doctor who looks after him, who then sends the report to the media about Trump's health. He's basically a liar.
Yeah, well, that fits the bill. If they don't tell him what he wants to hear, then he fires him. He doesn't want to hear that he might be getting old and he's not, and his health isn't very good anymore.
Well, who knows how long he's going to last?
Yeah,
hopefully, we never know. It might be one of the most celebrated deaths of all time. We don't know. All right. Now on to housing. Want to start off by showing some real estate prices in Niagara. Average real estate prices, they haven't changed too much since they dropped in 2022. So you can see on the screen here, since about 2023, things have been rather normal. I mean, you get the seasonal upticks, and then as you head into fall and winter, the prices come down a little bit. Um, the thing is, with what's going on in the economy, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point we actually see another leg down. And it's always good to know the value of your home for financial planning reasons. It's typically your biggest asset unless you've been blessed with a hefty investment portfolio or you've got, a lot of other assets elsewhere. But most of you, your home's your biggest asset. And so as you get older, the possibility of you needing to liquidate your home increases every single year. Either you can no longer live there or you need to sell it because you need the capital to fund wherever it is you're going. So, from 2022 to now, you could say we're down just under 20%. And if we look at the price returns, this doesn't include inflation. If we were to add in inflation since 2022, cumulative inflation is probably running close to like a low teen number, 13, 14%, because in 2022 we had 8% inflation that year. So if we add up all the inflation between now and then, and we include that in the price depreciation, real estate is actually down closer to 30%. For everyone who doesn't own real estate, the silver lining is this: it's actually becoming more affordable because wages are still going up. House prices are kind of stagnating. They could go down if we have a big uptick in unemployment, but they look to be stagnating. And so that means over time, people are going to be able to afford real estate again, which isn't always a bad thing. And same to be said for Toronto, where the average home jumped to almost 1.4 million back in 2022. Now the average sale price is somewhere between a million and 1.1 million. And the trend line in orange, as you can see, is actually starting to point downward. Keep in mind, this includes, a big portion of it actually includes the condo market, as well as single family detached homes. Part of this piece that I took a snippet from showed condos, and condos, depending on the region within Toronto, some condos are down close to 30% from the 2022 peaks, which is crazy. Whereas single family detached homes, some pockets are only down like 1 or 2%. On average, they're down 10%. So a big portion of this price correction that we're seeing is actually coming from the condo market. And finally, here's another interesting slide. It needs some context, but it's showing a date on the far right side of the screen for various major cities. And these are in Ontario, and that's when they experienced their last high real estate price. So the highest real estate price was achieved for Belleville, for example, in April of 2022. And just to the left of that shows the price decline since that date. And this data is as of July 2025. So you can see, St. Catharines, Niagara, as of July, it was down almost 16%. Oshawa down 20%. We've got lots of planes throughout Ontario. I thought this was just something worthwhile to show because depending on the region you're in, some housing areas, they haven't really gone down at all. Thunder Bay, for example, it's hasn't really changed. It's actually up since 2022, whereas Niagara, it's down 16%. That's it for our update. Mark, do you have anything you want to add?
No, no, that's good, Greg. You explained everything well.
Good. Okay. Thanks so much for tuning into our update. We look forward to presenting our next monthly update at the end of September. Have a great month.
Yeah, have a good month, everyone.
Thank you.